Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of the Marine Corps Marathon podcast, Run with the Marines. We're excited to have you guys with us today on this episode. We're joined by two special guests, Rick Nealis, a seasoned expert with a wealth of experience in race management and event coordination and Marine Corps Marathon, and Alex Hetherington, a dedicated leader and integral part of the Marine Corps Marathon today. We're looking forward to hearing their insights, experiences, and stories, so let's dive in.
All right, thanks, Amber. Well, I just want to start off, Rick Nealis. The institution within the institution of the Marine Corps Marathon, as I think of you, and I also, although I'd like to say I'm starting my junior year as the director of the Marine Corps Marathon organization. So it's still a learning process, that's for sure. And you've been one of my guides in that respect. But it's based on a long-term relationship that we've had. And, I like to think that, the Rick Nealis superpower is that you don't forget meeting Rick Nealis. I mean, talk about somebody who knows how to make one-on-one connections, an engaging, friendly, dynamic personality. That's probably in my dictionary of, what it means to be engaging. Rick Nealis is the first person listed there. And I just wanted to establish our relationship. It goes back to 1994 when I was a Calo lieutenant and you were a seasoned Marine major in your third year as the what they used to call then, it's the project officer for the Marine Corps Marathon, right? Which you were the final project officer. After that, they transitioned it to a civilian position as the race director that you pioneered for almost 30 years. But we started off as roommates, on my first time on an all Marine running team, went to London, and we were roommates at the Royal Naval War College in Greenwich before running the London Marathon. It's now no longer a military school, it's a museum. So I guess that tells you that it was a few years ago, but we've been at every year, you made the effort to stay in touch, be an advocate throughout my Marine Corps career, something I deeply appreciated. I wouldn't be here without you, and your friendship is something I treasure. So just wanted to lay down that marker, Rick.
Thank you, Alex. I tell you, hoorah! As Alex said, 1994, we met, and not only did we meet, but who else in 1994 did we have the privilege to run and meet? Oprah Winfrey. And Alex was on the All-Marine team representing us against the Royal Navy and the Royal Marines. It's his first opportunity on the Challenge Cup. And at the same time, in that same field with about 17,000 runners that day was Oprah. And at the end of the day, that's the beauty of the Marine Corps Marathon, the People's Marathon, that everybody is on the same playing field. It was a cold, rainy day that day. And, the fact that Oprah was running her first marathon, Alex is running his first Challenge Cup, both of them competing in the elements, and her coming across the finish line at 4:29:15, and has really become the rally cry of the Marine Corps Marathon. And, we got to give her credit, because that moment changed the sport. Just like Frank Shorter changed the sport in 1972 when he won a gold medal at Munich. And marathon is on the map for Americans. Here we are in 1994, and now, because of Oprah, women see that this is a sport that they can compete in. They can do it in the parameters of a race. You don't have to be fast. You don't have to be slow. You just have to be able to do whatever the rules are. In our case, it was 7 hours. So if you can come across before that clock says the race is over, you get the title of being a Marine Corps marathon finisher. And that's the beauty of our sport, that we embrace everyone.
Oh yeah, well, I appreciate you bringing up Oprah. I want to delve into that a little bit more. Because yeah, the Oprah story, it changed the running industry. Her time certainly still resonates, as we are the People's Marathon, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later on. But her finish time of 4:29:15 is sort of seen as the people's standard for running a marathon. It's referred to, even today on a regular basis. It's widely known. In fact, her impact on the running industry was most recently, acclaimed in a 31 December article in the Wall Street Journal entitled "Why Marathon Running is Booming," and they credit Oprah with creating just broad interest in participating in marathons as really a singular event, much like you referenced earlier, the Frank Shorter winning of the Olympic gold in Munich. But the other thing too is that Oprah, I did a little digging about this. She actually, it's an even more remarkable story than I realized, because in March 1993, I got this from a People article written the week after the marathon, in 1994, November 1994. But in March of 93, she was 5'7", she weighed 222 pounds, and she got a personal trainer. She had decided she wanted to get more fit. And by the time she ran the Marine Corps Marathon in October 1994, she was down to 150 pounds. And she had set a goal for herself before the race of running 4:30. So she beat that goal by 15 seconds. Talk about somebody who knows how to, prepare and lock in and accomplish something. That to me is pretty impressive. So there's that. Go ahead, Rick.
Well, again, I go back to the beauty of sport. I had the opportunity to toe the line with Oprah at the Cooper River Bridge Run in Charleston, South Carolina in March of 94. And by being at that race, my good friend, Julian Smith, was the race director. And when it was over, Julian informed me that Oprah was on the start line. I didn't get a chance to meet her at the race, but he was generous enough with her information of Harpo Production, which I wrote her a letter. And at the time, she had, some threats, some bad publicity surrounding the beef industry and what she was promoting. And it was a simple letter, one, to congratulate her as a runner with what she did at Cooper River Bridge Run in her 10K training run, but also to tell her that the United States Marine Corps would provide the security and the guarantee that she would be treated like any other runner on the start line. And what once she accepted, we never publicized the fact that she was there. Even when we had our press conference 2 days before the race, she was not a topic. It was only discovered that she was on the start line because back in those days, she wanted bib number 40, which was her 40th birthday. And those days, when you signed up, you got your bib. And somebody who had number 40, who signed up maybe 4 months, 5 months ahead of her, now became 13,371. and she got number 40. The dot matrix printer prints out the first 50 names per sheet. So on the first sheet is number 40, and Oprah's on the first sheet, and gets discovered, that a possibility that she's going to be at the race, which then generates all kinds of international interest from the tabloids as well as Runner's World and the Washington Post. So but the Marine Corps never capitalized on the fact that we had her. The second thing, I got to spend time with her, spent 4 hours and 29 minutes and 15 seconds with Stedman, as we waited on the finish line. But before the race, the paparazzi, the press, wanted to get to a story, and we had secured Oprah in an RV, and there was a fence around the RV, and the United States Marine had the orders of his standing orders, and we all know that Marines get their standing orders, they obey them, and there was nobody would come across and interfere with Oprah. She reached, as we were walking to the start line, she commented that never had she ever experienced the freedom of not being harassed by the paparazzi, because that United States Marine stood his post, knew his orders, and nobody was able to get to Oprah. And she was able to focus on the run, focus on all that training that you mentioned, that leading up. Her trainer, Bob Green, was there then running with that day. And, it was really just a special moment for a runner, for a person to be able to run and not have all the other, I guess, noise that she is exposed to, at other events. So I think she was very well pleased that she decided to run at Marine Corps and not at Chicago.
Well, as you alluded to earlier, I was there too, and it was a cold, rainy day. That's for sure. I remember that. But it was an amazing spectacle. It was truly memorable. I mean, I've run 27 Marine Corps marathons, but that was by far the one that's burned into my memory banks for that specific reason. And as you alluded to, it was the first time I was on an all-Marine team. So two memorable things. Both things facilitated by you, Rick. I mean, that's the thing that's amazing, is that, this kind of altered the running landscape. That was something that came into your head, just an amazing moment and sequence of events, that you engineered. So my hat is off to you, Rick, on that one for sure.
Well, I think it really what happened the next year, in 95, the Marine Corps Marathon start to move into the charity program. And with the charity program, brought in people who were joggers and walkers, and we embraced that. And also from the Oprah running in 94 to 95, we saw a definitely uptick in women's registration. And, and now today it's probably on par at a lot of races, either 50-50 at maybe at Marine Corps, or in some races, more women are running than males. And I don't think we would ever be here today with those kind of statistics if it wasn't for what she basically showed, that, you can turn your life around, you can train, you can put one foot in front of the other and achieve your goal. And if she can do it, somebody else can do it. And we start coming up with the bucket list. Now the marathon is on people's bucket list because they can do it. And it really, it just gave a whole different feeling from, what I would say when I was a runner and towing the line at Marine Corps. It was the focus of speed and trying to get that Boston qualifier. And it was all about speed and that brass ring of acceptance. And now, it's not that. It's a lot more, from everything from beating cancer or running for somebody who can't run, running in memory of somebody. So it's still people running for Boston. That will never go away, but it's much bigger, much more event, and it's because of people like Oprah, people like Vice President Al Gore, who ran our race, Drew Carey, coming, of all the races people can run, these are the people that are on the start line and make a difference.
That's wonderful, Rick. I mean, Oprah is truly the starkest and most indelible example of what it means to be the people's marathon. The way I think about the race is it's about, respect, recognition, dignity, citizenship. It's the marathon of record for Washington, D.C. The course is a tour de force of our nation's capital in terms of our national buildings and monuments. It's the largest race in the world that does not offer prize money. We're focused on the runner experience for every athlete in the race. But that's what I wanted to sort of finish up with and ask you, what is the People's Marathon mean to you as somebody who is a 30 steward of that, that call sign for 30 years?
Yes. Well, Alex, it's in the original first document that got approved, by General Ryan, because Marines love history and traditions, as you know. We know when our birthday is, November 10th, 1775. We use Semper Fidelis, always faithful. The Marine Corps is the only service that has a hymn. Everybody else has a song. There's special things about a United States Marine. It's why Miles has 1775 as a bib number. It's why Molly has a bib number of 1943 to represent when the women Marines joined the force. And it's why we finish in front of the Iwo Jima Memorial Monument at Marine Corps War Memorial, and why you get a salute from that second lieutenant. But to go back, in the beginning, the People's Marathon was represented because what was happened at the time, the Vietnam War was over. There was a dislike of military personnel, and our founding father, Colonel Jim Fowler, recognized that, coming out of Frank Shorter's 1972 gold medal Olympics, having Alex Breckenridge, a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps Reserves, who was at the 60 Olympics and finished second as an American, involved with the race in the beginning. You have them asking permission, up to Ambassador Middendorf. At the time, he was Secretary of the Navy, and he believed in a Navy that was fit, and be able to do their duty. So you take this goodwill motion in 1975, it gets approved. 1976 is the first year, and it's the biggest marathon ever for first timers. It's 1,115, I think, is the number. Prior to that, when you look at New York City Marathon in 1970, they had about 123 people. So the Marine Corps is onto something, and we have this big race. It gets so big, it has to leave the reserves, and it comes back to the active force, and eventually it comes down to Quantico, who are the stewards of the planning and the execution. The People's Marathon has no prize money. It never did. It never will. It really speaks to the the excitement of that everybody rates that medal. And if first time you're in the club, I mean, it's a participatory sport. You go to a football game, a baseball game, you're in the bleachers, you're sitting on the sidelines, running, marathon. Everybody that's in there is on the same playing field, and they're getting the same award, the same medal. And at the end of the day, you know, that's the beauty of it. You know, you're in the marathon club, because less than, I think, what is it, 99.9% of the United States population are not in that club. It's such a small, finite group of individuals, and it's international. You know, you got to go back when you talk about the history of the Marine Corps and the history of the Marine Corps Marathon. You got to remember that the marathon is part of the Olympic history. It's, you know, it wasn't for the Battle of Marathon and the Athenians beating the Persians on the battlefield, you know, we might not have ever had, you know, this distance, the name marathon, and so on. So so many things, you know, with our sport that we get to be able to embrace, and the opportunity, you know, to continue not only to reach out to runners who are really, in a lot of ways, the same traits that Marines have. They're dependable, they're focused, they're determined. You know, they have a schedule. They understand that, you know, they go from one point to another, and all that encompasses, I think, the People's Marathon. So, you know, if it wasn't for Fowler, the Marine Corps Marathon headquarters is Fowler Hall at Marine Corps Base Quantico. You know, Secretary of Navy William Middendorf, the second, had a stellar career, and still is a big supporter and proponent of the marathon. Without those type of individuals who were trailblazers, you know, we wouldn't be speaking today about the 50th Marine Corps Marathon coming up in October of 2025. It's still a dream. You know, we lived the dream. Oh, you know, and this is still part of that dream, to be involved with the 2025, the 50th Marine Corps Marathon. So if people are not registered, they better get registered, because it's going to be a sold out, and it's going to be just an epic year to be, you know, in our sport.
And we'll have you at the finish line helping bringing people home, Rick. That's
Absolutely
our solemn hope, for sure. And, you know, thank you for sharing your enthusiasm and wisdom with us today. You know, keep the faith and the pace, and always remember, Rick, there are no shortcuts to anywhere worth going. In the words of the late great Beverly Sills. That's a reference I know you get. Probably you know, subsequent generations might struggle with that one. But Semper Fidelis, and thank you for being with us today.
Semper Fi.